On tonight's Gwinnett Prep Rally, offensive explosions were the flavor of the day Friday, with 7 teams across the county scoring more than 40 points. Collins Hill went into Peachtree Ridge and after a slow start, dropped the hammer in the second half. North Gwinnett built up a big lead early but got all they could handle late from the Wildcats of Duluth. Brookwood returned home against Dacula, looking to snap a 3-game losing streak to the Falcons and get their coach a milestone victory in the process. Plus, we talk present and future with Archer defensive end Antonio Riles and much more on this edition of GPR, and it starts right now.
For 20 years, there's only been one home for high school sports, Gwinnett Prep Rally.
Hello and welcome to this week's Gwinnett Prep Rally, now in our 20th season of covering high school athletics in Gwinnett County. You can catch the show right here on GCPS TV for all the football, basketball, soccer, and baseball action from Class 6A all the way down to Single A. I'm Todd Klein alongside Will Hammock from the Gwinnett Daily Post. And Will, we're at the midpoint of the season for a lot of teams, and while several squads are in good position to make a run for region titles, there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, definitely on both sides. In Class 6A, there's a lot to be played for. I think Parkview, you got to look at them being in a really great situation. Norcross and Collinsville both undefeated in Region 7, so that's going to be interesting over there. But all those spots are wide open. You got a lot of teams that could possibly be playoff teams, and the seeding's definitely up in the air.
Let's get right to the highlights from this past Friday night, and we begin in Suwanee with Peachtree Ridge playing host to crosstown rival Collins Hill in an important game with playoff implications. And GPR's Matt Pelkey was there.
The Collins Hill Screaming Eagles went into Peachtree Ridge on Friday, looking for their 4th straight win. Lions quarterback Bryson Sellers got the scoring started with this 1-yard plunge. The hometown student section is fired up as Peachtree Ridge leads 7-0 after 1. On the very next drive, Collins Hill answers. QB Brett Sheehan finds C.J. Davis out to the left. The game is tied at 7, and it's the Collins Hill student section's turn to get excited. Later in the second, Walden Davis takes the handoff, cuts back up the middle, and picks up 26 yards on the carry. The drive stalled in the red zone, but a Connor Rouleau field goal puts the Lions back in front 10-7, less than a minute till halftime. The handoff is to Tyler Henderson. He makes a couple of cuts and carries 2 Lion defenders into the end zone with it. 14-10 Collins Hill at the break. First play of the second half and the biggest play of the game. Sheehan finds Julian Williams out on the screen, but it's a double pass. Williams fires a left-handed strike to receiver Quentin Jones at midfield. Jones takes advantage of a fallen defender and scampers the rest of the way for the touchdown. 80 yards on the play. Collins Hill leads 21-10 and they wouldn't look back. Still in the third, Sheehan again finds Williams on a screen, but this time Williams keeps the rock and gets all the way down to the 1 before being brought down by a host of Lion defenders. Tyler Henderson's score on the next play pushed the lead to 27-10. Next possession for Collins Hill. Sheehan finds Henderson over the middle. He breaks a tackle, speeds towards the end zone, but he'll be marked down at the 1. He punched it in on the next play, 34-10 Eagles. Now the defense wants in on the fun. Bryson Sellers drops back, but his line collapses and he's swallowed whole by Jonathan Thomas and Starling Alexander. The Collins Hill defense played well all night. Last chance for Peachtree Ridge to score. Sellers thinks he has a man open in the corner, but Eagles corner Darren Fry steps in front and picks it off in the end zone. Collins Hill improves to 4-1 on the season, winning this one going away 41-10.
Well, Will, this one was close early, but once Collins Hill got things going, it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, it's been a great season so far for Collins Hill. They're off to a great start, unbeaten in the region. They'll find out a lot this week when they get Norcross. But just an excellent start for the Eagles. They're playing strong on defense, and you know they have all those playmakers on offense, and that's a good mix. They really took it to Peachtree Ridge in the second half.
And while Collins Hill firmly put themselves in the playoff position here, obviously Peachtree Ridge, this is almost kind of like an elimination game for the Lions. Can you pinpoint maybe one thing that's gone wrong for the Lions this year in what's been a very disappointing season?
I don't really know if I could pinpoint. There's a lot of different problems over there at Ridge. It's really hard to pinpoint one thing that's going wrong. It seems like a lot of different things are coming together, cause problems over there for the Lions. They're not able to win any football games, and I think the effort's got a lot to do with it. You see them kind of maybe giving up a little bit in some games, and that's disappointing to see.
Well, back to the highlights, and North Gwinnett needed a victory to stay in contention for one of the top 2 spots in Region 7, while the Duluth Wildcats had their sights set on pulling a road upset to remain in the playoff hunt. GPR's Nathan Shutter has all the action from Suwanee.
North Gwinnett looking to protect their house as they played host to Duluth. The Wildcats would start the scoring on their opening drive. Tyler Campbell gets loose in the secondary. He breaks and slips all kinds of would-be tacklers, and he is gone for the touchdown. Duluth takes a 7-0 lead. North will respond on the ensuing drive. The give is to Cam Lewis, and he is running hard into Duluth territory and picking up the first down. Later in the drive, Michael Haynes, with some play action, he rolls left and hooks up with Nate Brown for the Bulldog touchdown, and we are all knotted at 7. Second quarter, North with the ball deep in Wildcats territory. Michael Haynes will call his own number and run it in for 6 to put the Bulldogs on top 14-7. Duluth trying to answer, but CJ James breaks through untouched and brings down Thaddeus Bell for the quarterback sack. Time running out in the half. North looking to punch one in. This time it's Cam Lewis doing the honors, and the Bulldogs take a 21-7 lead to the break. Second half, North Gwinnett knocking on the door once again, and Nick Andruski answers for the Bulldogs as they increase their advantage to 28-7. Duluth not going away. Thaddeus Bell with all kinds of time. He's going downfield for Jordan Danridge. He makes the catch around the 10 and drags the defense into the end zone for 6. That would cut the lead to 28-14. But North Gwinnett offense was too much on this night. Hayden Spire in at quarterback, and he finds Nate Brown all alone in the front of the end zone for his second touchdown reception of the game, and North Gwinnett goes on to a region victory 42-28 over Duluth.
Well, this score maybe wasn't indicative of how much of a fight this was for North Gwinnett. In the end, though, the Bulldogs get a much-needed victory.
Yeah, North's North. They're always going to play good on defense. I kind of let it slip up there towards the end, let Duluth make a game out of it. But all in all, this team's definitely a playoff team. It's going to fight for one of the top seeds in the region. And once they get to the state playoffs, they can compete with the state's best teams. And as they proved in the Corky Kell Classic, they can play with anybody in the state.
Well, you're talking about how good this region is. Well, Duluth's a pretty good team in its own right. They showed it in this game. Came up a little bit short, but really, what a great effort by the Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, they've been hit by some injuries over there, and Corey Jarvis just keeps putting an impressive team out there over and over. I mean, if they weren't in this region, we'd be talking about them being a state playoff team probably. They just happen to play in one of the toughest regions in the state. I mean, there's a lot of regions in 5A where they'd be fighting for a region title maybe with this team that they have. But week in and week out, they can compete with some of the better teams in Gwinnett County. I've been impressed with what Coach Jarvis has done over there.
Well, the Brookwood Broncos have lost 3 straight meetings with Dacula, and the Falcons came to Snellville desperate for a victory after starting the season 0-5. So which losing streak would be broken? Matt Pelkey has the call.
Brookwood returned home Friday looking to rebound from their loss to rival Parkview last week. They welcomed in the winless Dacula Falcons. Things got off to a rough start for the Broncos. Dacula running back Marcus Cox waltzes into the end zone untouched from a yard out. Falcons up 7-0 early. After a field goal cut the lead to 7-3, Brookwood quarterback Zach Moon puts his team in front with a QB sneak from the 1, 10-7 Broncos. Early in the second quarter, it's Cox again. He takes the handoff, and this time he has the open field to show off his breakaway speed. No one is going to lay a finger on him. 59 yards for the score. Falcons back on top, 14-10. Still in the second, Broncos running back Josh Brown takes it up the middle, shrugs off an arm tackle, and he's in for the score. Broncos take the lead. Later in the quarter, Moon finds Kai Priester on the slant. Priester sees the same soft spot in the middle of the Falcons' defense and kicks it into third gear. He'll take it 31 yards untouched for 6. Broncos push the lead to 10, 24-14 at the break. Third quarter now, and Brookwood is starting to create some separation. Josh Brown again. He takes the handoff from the fullback position, follows his blockers into space, and he'll do the rest. He goes untouched 40 yards, 31-14 Brookwood. What about the defense, you ask? They were making plays as well. Falcons quarterback Brandon Goodson's pass sails high, and Broncos safety Matthew Price is there to take advantage. He returns the pick to the 20. He tallied 2 interceptions on the day, and this one sets up another Bronco touchdown drive. Moon on the play-action fake finds who else? Josh Brown wide open over the middle. Broncos up 38-14, and they're not done. One last time for Brown. He fools the Falcon defense and the cameraman, taking the handoff around the left side and in. His 4th touchdown caps off head coach Mark Cruz' 100th career win as the Broncos snap a 3-game losing streak to the Falcons, 45-17.
Well, congratulations to Coach Mark Cruz on his 100th career victory and a nice win by the offense there. This offense, I think, can give people fits all year long.
Yeah, they really weren't stopped or even slowed down most of the night by Dacula. I mean, this is a Dacula defense that I thought might be pretty good early in the year, but they were just shredded by this Brookwood offense. Another thing that stood out, I mean, the Brookwood defense, they've been off to slow starts in games, but they really stepped it up in the second half and completely shut down Marcus Cox and the Dacula offense in the second half.
And like you said, Will, Dacula did get off to a good start. We're in this game early, then the wheels kind of fell off on the Falcons, and really the same thing has happened to their season.
Yeah, it's a lot like Peachtree Ridge, just having a lot of issues over there. Can't get it going, and they've been in some close games. I mean, they had a chance to beat Collins Hill, and they really lost it there at the end. But it's just tough to see for Dacula right now. They got a very proud football tradition, and you hate to see them go through a season like this. So, but I think the future's still bright over there. They can turn this around. This season's obviously lost in terms of playoffs, but they can close strong and maybe shock some people down the stretch.
Well, Archer and Shiloh came into Friday night's contest with matching 1 and 2 region records, with the winner putting themselves back into the playoff mix, while the loser would have a long hill to climb in order to grab one of the 4 playoff spots in Region 8. Nathan Shutter has more.
Shiloh on the road at Archer for an important Region 8 clash. The home team will strike first. The give is to Sean Fowler. He fumbles the ball into the end zone, but Mitch Hornsby is able to jump on the loose ball for the Archer touchdown and a 7-0 lead. Shiloh would answer on the ensuing drive. Devontae James will fake the handoff and keep it himself, 7 yards on the touchdown run, and we are all tied up at 7. Time running out in the half. Gabe Tiller back to pass, and he fires a bullet to DeAndre Singleton. He makes the grab in the end zone for 6. Tigers up 14-7 at the break. They will add to it in the third quarter. Sean Fowler takes the handoff around the right side and in for the score, and Archer grabs a 24-7 advantage. Fourth quarter, Tigers are on the move. This time Tiller is going to find a streaking Will Cone for the 20-yard touchdown. Tigers in control, up 31-7. Shiloh now with the ball and a little razzle-dazzle. The flea flicker goes back to Devontae James, and he's going deep downfield to Cameron Stewart. He makes the grab for the touchdown, but it wasn't enough as the Generals fall on the road 38-21 to Archer.
Gets themselves right back into the playoff mix. I think all along this season you thought that this team would be in the mix for the playoff spots and playing pretty good football.
Yeah, definitely. They're big and physical on both sides of the ball. I think that's what stands out to me watching them. Lost a step there with Ernest Alexander when he was hurt, but Sean Fowler's really stepped it up. He rushed for 200 yards on 33 carries this week. Had a huge game carrying the load on offense. The new quarterback's done well. So I was really impressed with what they've been able to do, and like I said, I think this is a playoff caliber team.
Well, our thanks go out to the Shiloh Touchdown Club for providing those highlights. And Will, Shiloh's still hanging in there tough. We knew that they were going to get to the meat of their schedule. They're going to struggle a little bit, but the offense still looking good with some big plays.
Yeah, definitely. We knew they were going to be strong on defense. That was kind of their calling card early in the season. But the offense has really gotten rolling lately. They've got a little bit more time in Coach Hobbs' system, what they want to do over there. Devontae James and the offense has really been doing well. And I really think, scoring 21 points against a pretty good Archer defense kind of surprised me.
Well, the Archer Tigers appear to be a dangerous team as they continue to march toward the return trip to the state playoffs. And to get back, they will need a strong effort out of their defensive unit, led by senior defensive lineman Antonio Riles.
Tonight's team leader is presented by Breda Pest Management.
The Archer Tigers were a surprise team in 2011 when they made the state playoffs in just their second season of varsity competition. And a large part of that success was due to the outstanding play of defensive end Antonio Riles.
He's nearly 6'5", 270 pounds, and he's strong. And he's very athletic for a big boy like that. So he moves his feet well. He's got really good lateral movement and very good punch. So he's, just by his natural abilities, he's a very good football player.
His strong play on the field garnered the attention of a number of top-notch college football programs, and it gave Antonio a lot of options when it came to making his college decision.
Of course it was fun at first, but it got kind of stressful, closing towards the end where I wanted to commit. Because, I still have a lot of stuff on my mind. Still have a lot of stuff to think about. So Florida, Georgia, Clemson real hard, Tennessee, as well as Kentucky.
In the end, 2 schools stood out above the rest, and it was the Florida Gators coming out on top.
It was real hard between Georgia and Florida, but I just felt like that was the right decision to make. Coach Quinn and Coach Young was great guys, so all of them down there are great. So
the competition is fierce, and those guys, there's a lot of good football players across this country, and he's going to have to get in there and battle and do all the little things that he's supposed to do to be a great SEC football player. He's definitely got the ability, He's definitely got the ability, and I think he's got the tenacity to make it happen.
The Archer Tigers will need Antonio Riles to play big if they hope to repeat last year's success in one of the state's toughest regions.
I expect him to lead on the field. We've got some young kids that'll be playing on the D-line with him for the first time, and his leadership and motor is going to need to be hot every play, to keep those guys going.
we got some things that are very fixable that we can work on, but I feel like we can do some big things in our region.
Well, obviously Antonio is a big major recruit. What was it that these colleges liked so much about him?
He has such a big frame, and to be that athletic when you're that size, I mean, that's really what stands out. I mean, he's a guy that's 6'5", 270, whatever he is. He's a guy that really moves well. He gets all over the field. He runs things down. I think at the next level, you're going to have to see him really turn that motor up, like Coach Dyer said. He's going to have to get after it on every play, hustle on every play if he wants to get on the field at a team like Florida.
Time now for Will's World. We put 60 seconds on the clock. We get in the mind of our very own Will Hammock. Will, what do you got for us this week?
It's been a rough year, really, for Buford Athletics, and it was a rough week this past week. Devin Durden, a beloved guy over there, Coach Gene Durden's their girls basketball coach. Devin passed away after a motorcycle wreck. He played at Air Force a couple of years, and he played on a couple of Buford State championship teams. He got in that bad motorcycle wreck and came down with pneumonia, and that really tough time for that community. They were mourning him, and just recently lost a basketball player in that program too. So sad time for Buford. Shifting gears to basketball here over at Norcross, Brandon Goodwin committed to Southern Miss. He's our leading scorer last year. He did a lot for that team. I think he's really going to play a big part of what I think is going to be an improved Norcross basketball team this year. And Brandon's a proven scorer. That's what he did last year. He was definitely their go-to guy on the offensive end of the floor. I think he's going to bring that to Southern Miss when he heads over there. Another college commitment in basketball news, Bailey Rexing. She was kind of the underrated member of that backcourt, playing with Lexi Brown, one of the nation's top players. But Bailey's a good ball handler. Still just a junior, committed to Ole Miss, so she's going to play basketball in the SEC. It's a good job for her to get that. I think North Gwinnett, you're going to see them being so much better this year too. They've added some key players that's going to help them out, and I think North's going to be a legitimate state championship contender in girls basketball.
Well, you're throwing some basketball in the mix there, Will. It is getting to be almost that time. Maybe it's a little early to start looking ahead, but talking about Norcross and the boys program, do you expect them to kind of bounce back this year and be a force?
Yeah, definitely. Last year, they still had a good year, but it definitely wasn't Norcross-like and what they've been able to do in recent seasons. I think you're going to see that again. They played a lot of young guys last year. Those guys have grown up. I think they've gotten some move-ins that are going to help out. So I think Norcross is going to be a contender at the state level. I mean, you're going to see another deep playoff run out of the Blue Devils.
Time now to focus on standout performances, so let's move on to this week's Building Blocks presented by Britt's Home Furnishing. And first up is Michael Haynes from North Gwinnett.
He's turned out to be a great quarterback. I mean, I think a lot of people knew Mickey Haynes. He led Brookwood to the state runner-up finish back in the late 80s. He's a guy that can do it a lot, and he throws it better than his dad. I think 236 total yards, 3 touchdowns for the Bulldogs, and he's a guy that's going to be key down the stretch to trigger that North Gwinnett offense, because you know they're going to be very good on the defensive side of the ball, so they need that key offense.
We talked about that Brookwood offense. Will, Josh Brown was really at the heart of the attack this past Friday night. Not only had 100 yards rushing, but 4 touchdowns and was just constantly getting into the end zone.
Yeah, I know Jamal Cole's an exceptional player in that offense. They have Kai Priester too, but you got to find a way to get Josh Brown the ball. Pretty much week in and week out, he's going to make plays. He's a big, strong kid. He's unselfish. He does a lot of blocking for Jamal Cole. Just a good player.
And then finally, we go over to Collins Hill playing some great football. Julian Williams getting this big reception for a touchdown. He had a very nice game for the Eagles.
Yeah, he had that big pass that broke the game open there. He had 5 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. He's a guy that can get it done in a lot of ways. I've been impressed with him all year. He's a really athletic kid, catches the ball well. You're very rarely going to see him drop a pass, and he's going to be very involved. He's got a good quarterback in Brett Sheehan as well.
Well, Will, all those were great performances. Who else played well last week that we should mention?
I think we think of Grayson being a running attack, but David McTeer, the Grayson quarterback, had a great game this past week, threw for 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and a big win over Central Gwinnett. So David proven he can get it done in that offense.
For the past 20 years, Gwinnett Prep Rally has been the county's #1 place for high school sports, and every week we will be sitting down with show creator Jeff Batten to take a look back at the great moments in the show's history.
You know, when you watch ESPN, you don't realize this, but you are paying ESPN to be in your house. You give nickel or 10 cents or 15 cents every month to ESPN to have that in your house. Gwinnett Prep Rally, not that way. So the whole thing was advertiser supported, and the culture sports ads were sort of what we became known for. I didn't really have a good idea. They didn't have a big budget for something colossal. So I decided to make Beverly Coulter sort of my Dos Equis man, my progressive flow, whatever you want to call her. She was the cult figure of our television show before such an idea was even kind of popular in the mainstream. And we did all kinds of crazy Coulter sports commercials, and they loved it. They were getting all kinds of business because of our commercials, and some of the other folks were obviously very important. The old Eastside Bank and Trust was the very first advertiser we ever had. Roger Breda has been with me all these years, except for a couple of years when he was doing some different things in the pest control industry. So we had some supportive, loyal people all the way from year one, but it was really that first group of 6 advertisers that we had. Kroger, Burger King stepped in, and they took a shot, and without that, we just would not have made it. We made it through basketball and baseball season. That was very hard. We were breathing fumes. We made it to the second football season, and from there, the Culture Sports of the world and all the other friends, they stayed with us, and 20 years later, here we are.
Well, Will, Jeff mentions the advertisers on there and the people who support local prep athletics, and I think we've seen that at the Gwinnett Daily Post as well. And all you have to do is go to games these days. At the Brookwood game this past Friday night, and it's there's banners everywhere. Gary Levingood has all kinds of commercials going on at the stadium, so it's really evolved into a big deal to be at these high school events.
Definitely. I mean, you can't run a TV show like this, and you can't run a high school football program without having that advertising revenue coming in. I think you see that, like you said, any high school football game you go to, you can't have first-class equipment, first-class facilities without having some money coming into your program, and the advertisers are a big part of that, supporting these high school kids.
Time now for Will to take a peek into the crystal ball as we look ahead to some key matchups on the gridiron. It's brought to you by Tommy Lee Carpets. We call it Beat the Post, and we'll give you a chance to do exactly that. And we start off with Westminster at GAC.
Yeah, GAC had an extremely challenging schedule, and they've come out of it pretty well here early in the season. I think that experience is going to help them, and GAC wins.
And Central Gwinnett's offense has been struggling. Do they get back on track this week? They have a big test against Archer.
I think it's going to be a tough one again. I think Archer's a very good team. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored in this one, and I think eventually Archer's going to pull it out.
Dacula looking for its first win of the season, but they host a very talented Parkview team.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Parkview's really got it rolling, and Dacula's really in the opposite boat. I think the Panthers are going to keep it rolling towards the region title. One
of the 2 big interesting games of the week in Region 7, North Gwinnett playing at Mill Creek.
This is going to be an interesting ball game. I don't know who to pick in this one. I've kind of been back and forth all weekend trying to think who to pick. I think it's going to be North Gwinnett. I think they're a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball at this point. I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
There's going to be some disappointed people out there at Mill Creek, Will, that you went against them. But Norcross, another big game playing at Collinsville. Does Collinsville have enough to maybe upset the Blue Devils, who've been playing some great football?
Yeah, Collinsville's been playing well. I think their schedule's maybe not as tough as what some teams have faced. I think they're really going to hit it this week against Norcross. Norcross definitely loaded on both sides of the ball, and the Blue Devils win this one.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's GPR. Be sure to join us next week for more highlights and features with a full slate of Friday Night Football. You can see Gwinnett Prep Rally every Tuesday through Friday right here on GCPS TV, and you can go to GwinnettPrepRally.com for all the scheduling details. For Will Hammock and all of us here at GPR, I'm Todd Klein. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you under the lights.
Grab some wood there, bub.